Doesn't Chad want to expand the audience of the show? This brings to mind someone else who was intolerant of people's religion and never had a successful podcast. His name was Hitler!
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McKenna.
We got some deals for you.
That's right. Deals, and deals.
And DLC.
Ew.
See what I did there?
Yeah, it was gross.
I know, but
That's the life of a pitchman.
Yes.
Giving up your scruples and all pun construction to make the sale.
and also doing copious amounts of cocaine, apparently.
So that explains the last 30 seconds of time on the show. Copious amounts of cocaine.
Oh, yeah, that and Billy Mays.
Oh. I thought you meant for you.
Oh, well, I mean, that goes without saying, Chad. I mean, my nasal cavities are destroyed.
Yeah.
It's just...
Honestly, there's no way that an unaugmented brain can come up with the sort of 5-page essays about the Northern Hemisphere that you put on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Chad, the world has exploded.
That
again.
it has. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, we didn't start the fire. I don't know who did, but it keeps burning.
It's always been burning since the last 2 weeks or so.
We'll give it a month.
Okay.
Because it's been a steady uptick in just crazy news momentum, and we're still like 2 months away from E3.
That's the ridiculous part, is that typically these are the doldrums. The winter shitfucks lead into just a dead zone of news in the spring, but this year is different. Everyone, it makes me a little afraid of what we're going to see at E3.
Like, what way?
Well, I mean, afraid in a good way, but it makes me like trepidatious if nothing else. Like, I know that you traditionally take off work for E3, and I usually take off at least the day of the Nintendo conference, but I feel like we're going to have our work cut out for us this year, man.
It's a good thing we're not doing TED Talks this year. Spoiler alert.
We're not doing another TED cartoon this year.
Good Lord. Like, I think they're still hovering around 600 views, both of them. It's pathetic.
Yeah. That's about 1 view per man-hour of work I put into it.
For those of you new to the show who may have jumped in the last couple of weeks, TED Talks is a series of 2 videos we made for the past 2 E3s, starring beloved Donkey Kong Universe icon Ted the Boat Builder from off of Conker's Pocket Tales.
Yeah.
And like, there's so much work put into it. Chad did a lot of it, but like last year, Cameron and Matt did so much of the art assets for it as well.
Yeah, Cameron drew Siegfried and the scenery, and Matt edited the whole like the PowerPoint presentations part of the video. Everything that was in Ted's head, where I focused on the character animation and lip sync and the camera movements. All told,
we probably spent like a week of our lives. Not like it took a week. I mean, it took a week of you guys editing all together. Like, calculate the man hours.
Yeah, just search for. It's a good video, and I think the ultimate message at the end is still valuable to hear in the run up to E3, whether or not the games being referenced are still relevant. But I guess you could search for TED Talks E3 DK Vine; it'll pop up.
Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just click the link right above you, and go back to our channel.
Oh yeah. But we did one for 2013 and 2014. Obviously, the 2014 one is less rough around the edges, but they do sort of feed into each other in a way.
I'm proud of them both, especially last year's. But yeah, fuck it. If nobody's gonna watch though.
Yeah, that's really the ultimate determining factor in what we spend our time on. Is anyone watching?
Well, I mean, for the amount of effort put into it, it does not pay off.
Yeah. I was being facetious. Usually, we could give 2 shits about the size of our audience. But that one, the the disparity between those 2 numbers was so immense, and it was at the expense of our attention on actual E3 events.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I don't know, giving me kind of a crisis of the soul. Is Ted the Boat Builder really beloved after all?
Have we just been in this insular bubble the entire time? Surely not.
Is this what it feels like to be on Fox News? and then you go outside and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. This is like the inverse of what happened to that financial reporter that left MSNBC.
I don't know that reference.
Oh yeah, there was a guy who Fox hired, and he was like, "Oh, I have so much more freedom now than I ever did anywhere else." But he was, to be able to espouse his heavy right-wing agenda. Freedom is another word for Roger Ailes' daily talking points. So anyway,
that was my.
Free at last. Talk about Roger Ailes' daily talking points. Freedom.
That was my favorite Janis Joplin song lyric too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really just sums up the '60s counterculture movement.
Somewhere a 25-year-old Roger Ailes came himself in the 1960s.
Yeah, that explains why Janis Joplin choked herself on her vomit.
Why are we talking about Janis Joplin? We're 6 minutes in, and there's a massive episode.
When has that ever stopped us from talking about anything?
Okay, we got to stay on point.
All right, you're right. So, all right. Favorite Janis Joplin song?
Oh shit. I don't know, man. I really wish that I could have seen what Janis Jorp Jomp got to put out.
Yeah. That God, 30 Rock was such a good show.
It really
was.
Need
to revisit it. Anyway, so you're right. We no time to waste. No time to twiddle our thumbs.
No time for my rant about the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh. You know what? You call me a cynical asshole for dismissing things without giving them too much of a shot.
I know. Okay, so to be fair, and this is all I'm going to say about it, Janelle and I, when we set out to watch the show, we didn't like the trailer. We said, okay, how much do we owe Tina Fey before we give up on this? We said 4 episodes. That's what we owe her for 30 Rock and her time on SNL. all those countless hours of entertainment, we owe her 4 episodes before we declared an abject failure. We watched 3 and turned it off in disgust. But everyone I know whose opinions I trust say it's amazing, so I think we still need to watch that 4th.
It's not amazing. It's very good.
Okay, well, considering how rough around the edges 30 Rock was, why are we talking about the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
You brought it up.
Yeah, but still.
Oh, because we're talking about Janis Joplin, naturally. So
yeah,
and Fox News. So it just kind of
all those things are really in the same realm.
It really is, in that it has nothing to do with Donkey Kong.
But the world has exploded. The world of the Donkey Kong universe in the last couple days, actually. And it's nice that we're recording this the same day the episode's going up, Saturday morning. And had we stuck to our traditional recording schedule, we actually would have missed quite a bit of information. So
yeah, I know it was a joke the other week when Joe was on, when we said we should have 2 episodes a week, but it's starting to feel like
Jesus Christ, man. It's like we were laughing earlier that one of the line items on this week's episode is not the fact that Team Dakota debuted the look of the teddies in Project Spark. And usually that would carry an entire episode, us just talking about the teddies, but that's...
Well, Chad, if you look at the footage here, you can see that their helmets clearly don't match anything established in Live and Reloaded. Now, I've written a 30-page continuity dissertation on why this matters and why it possibly predicts where Team Dakota is going to go next with the Conquer franchise.
I've also noticed that if you look at the lightning bolt from the T logo, obviously popularized in Live and Reloaded, it seems to be a vector... Thank you. It seems to be a vector-based graphic, which would tell me that perhaps the Project Spark engine is capable of rendering vector graphics. What implications could this have for the modding community? We should bring on our vector illustrator, Cameron Regal, to discuss this further.
This is starting to sound like what a Big Bang Theory inspired sitcom about our lives would be. It'd be like
if Chuck Lorre wrote
Chuck
the
Lorre,
Conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck Lorre and his insufferable laugh track. Just
Yeah.
God. And it would be number one on CBS for 30 years. So
See, our vanity card is often mistaken for a bong rip. The listeners would just turn off halfway through.
And we give the guy so much shit, and well-deserved shit, but he, our video, TED Talks, only got 600 views. He's got the number one show on CBS, so
yeah,
and probably on network TV. So what do we know?
Right, he's practically the JonTron of network television. So let's plow through this due diligence because
let's plow through the due diligence. Yes. All right. I love due diligence. So we got a hotline. It's called the DK Vine hotline. You can call it. You can leave a message. We might play your call. It's getting a little dicey though because we're getting so many calls nowadays.
We actually are. We're getting there are several calls from new listeners as well. So we're glad to hear people coming out of their comfort zone. New people on the forum. New people listening to the show. Give us a ring. 1-281-410-5664 or KONG if you're feeling nasty.
Yeah, if you're feeling nasty, you better give us a ring. You better put a ring on that because we're not those kind of girls.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We're social justice warriors here on the show.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Me neither.
All right. Speaking of social justice warriors, join the DK Vine forum at dkvine.com/forum.
See, that's why we work well together, because I set you up with the segue, you knock it home.
Thank you. So, completely relevant discussion aside, the forum is just an amazing place right now.
I noticed something a few days ago. The long dormant. So we separate the forum into categories based on the larger Donkey Kong universe categories.
Right. Under Jim Crow, it's separate but equal.
Exactly. However, I have noticed a lack of equality in some of these sub-forums, namely the Conker forum, the Banjo forum. The Banjo one's got a little bit of play lately, thanks to Project Ukulele, but the Conker
got a little bit of play, Tonic.
That's right. Was that your CSI Miami intro?
Yeah, I couldn't go full Caruso, but it's early. It's so
yeah. And besides, they've already used that song. For the Kongversation version, we'd need to play Boris the Spider. Eventually, if they just keep spinning that off, they're really gonna run out of Who songs.
Yeah, I know. They could always go like solo, like Townsend, but
it'll just be this nasally drip noise because he's got a big. Hey, you know who else has a big nose?
Who's that?
Sarah Jessica Parker. Be cool, my baby.
Nay, Chad, nay.
The Conker thread has had like nothing. It has been the tumbleweeds rolling past Vultureville.
I was hoping we'd get a Vultureville reference in there.
Yeah, the only residents in there have been the Undertaker's ghost and Soul and Luxo.
Right, and those racist Native American acorns.
That's right. Yeah, they use every part of the oak. But anyway,
they use both the regular Game Boy and the Game Boy Color versions.
That's right. I noticed that there were 3 active threads with entirely distinct subject matter.
Whoa, 3 active threads? Visit the DK Vine forum. You got to join now.
In the Conker subforum.
In the Conker. Okay, for the last several years, like you're always going to have a multitude of active topics in Donkey Kong,
sure,
Cameo, and we're not going to talk about completely relevant discussion. But Donkey Kong and Cameo are always hopping just by virtue of them getting games the last few years.
And our fairly new other video game discussion is also very popular and continues to be.
But yeah, there's been kind of Banjo's had some life into it for the past few months. ever since Project Ukulele, because that's really just kind of a de facto discussion point for Project Ukulele. But then you got things like Banjo Kazooie appearing at South by Southwest or whatever the hell that show was.
Yes.
And just various like rumor mills, multiple rumor mills. Yeah, they just built a bunch of mills for the rumors and about the new Banjo Kazooie game.
Well, and also the fact that Gavin Price said that he might like to see a crossover with Banjo and Kazooie and Project Ukulele. So, and that's obviously relevant. So, that one has been picking up steam. But Conker, that was even after the Project Spark thing from last E3, I don't think you could have. None of us could have expected that there would be this much love for that series at the moment. And
I honestly thought Conker, and I'm an eternal optimist. I'm the one who goes into every E3 thinking this is the year for Saberman Stampede.
Yeah.
We're going to see a Perry the Parallel Bird game. I know it.
Kevin Callahan was right all along.
Hey, it's too early to make ironic jokes about Kevin Callahan.
I think it was late enough to make those jokes as soon as that blog post went up.
Jesus Christ, you seriously, Jesus Christ, you would have said the same thing about Jesus when he was up on the cross. Well, I guess that guy wasn't the Messiah. Moving on.
I still say that stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well. My point is, wait till Kevin Callahan leaves his cave in Minnesota.
Okay, fair enough.
This is appropriate for this weekend, all right?
Yeah. So
the weekend after April Fool's Day.
If only he lived in Pennsylvania, then we would have 6 more weeks of DKU news.
Right, but my point is, don't shit talk Kevin Callahan. This E3 will vindicate him, I believe. My point is, I dream big, for E3. I dream big for the DKU. I've never given up the faith. Even I was saying Conker was a dead branch of the DKU tree.
Right.
Like I was like, we're never gonna get anything new with Conker ever.
Exactly.
Again. He might be he's a skin in Minecraft. That's about as good as it's gonna get.
Mm-hmm. And Alive and Reloaded skin at that.
Yeah.
No.
We're
seeing Bad Fur Day era Conker resurgent. And one of those threads, by the way, I want to shout it out. By forum user Super Kong's nephew, he's taking the existing Project Spark and recreating Conker's Pocket Tales in that game in 3D and in HD. So
wait, Super Kong's nephew? You mean Super Kong's wannabe nephew?
Oh, that's true. It's not actually. Oh yeah. Because I guess the Diddy Super Kong is called Super Diddy. It's not Super Kong.
Right.
Yeah. So it's Super Kong's quote unquote nephew. Yes.
Well, but Diddy himself was a wannabe nephew. Remember?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that was in the Donkey Kong 64 instruction manual.
Oh, it said wannabe.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Lee. He actually fixed that for us.
Lee trying to mop up Sakurai's mistakes. Yeah, thank you.
Well done. But anyway, Super Kong's nephew, from off of the DK Vine forum, at which it's never been a better time to join. He's recreating Conker's Pocket Tales, and it looks glorious. And this is all being done in anticipation of the Conker content pack that's coming out. Like there's no actual Conker assets yet, and he's just waiting to plug them in and make this an actual CPT redux.
And there's not going to be any Pocket Tales assets whatsoever, even though we have you have tweeted Project Dakota or Team Dakota and said, "Where are the Acorn people?"
Yeah, although they did sort of construct an Acorn person unknowingly on their Twitch stream, but yeah, they did confirm that you can completely recolor the Conker model. So Honker the Skunk is confirmed. Anyway, so that's just one of the multitude of threads that deserve your attention at the DK Vine forum.
Right, and down the list, Fish and Chaps is praying solemnly that it too will get the revival it deserves.
Yeah, there is an active movement on the Platonic forum to get a goldfish that taps on the side of his bowl 3 times into Project Ukulele, and
although if Project Ukulele is DKU, and it is the launch of the Platonic universe, which at this point I would put good odds. I would say you got 60-40 odds on it being DKU.
That's the over-under, yeah.
Yeah. Bookies, place your bets. But Yeah, I would say it deserves its own form. I don't think it should be lumped into fish and chips, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We'll cross that Spiral Mountain Bridge into Gruntilda's gaping maw when we get there.
Which maw are we talking about here?
Let's not.
Unless it's Hot Gruntilda from the Game Over screen.
Yeah, but even then, to describe anything as a maw, much less a gaping one.
Oh, you've never heard my dirty talk, man.
Oh, Jesus, dude, you know I have a cold. Don't make me. Okay. Subscribe to
Don't make you laugh? Oh, well, that's usually not a problem on the conversation.
Usually not. Subscribe to the show on iTunes. Rate us on iTunes, yada, 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 social media.
So, yada, 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 social media. You mean the heart and soul of, like, where we're getting new audience members? I mean,
hey, then they are...
Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube.
But then they already know about it, of course.
I know, but don't shortchange it, man.
Okay. Go to dkvine.com/any of those things, and it will forward you to our respective homes on those.
Yeah. I'm
websites.
in charge of the Facebook. Chat's in charge of the Twitter. Cameron the Tumblr, and new content every day.
Right, and the YouTube gets the conversation, and hopefully one day we will have a slight bit more free time to be able to put stuff up on YouTube. At this point,
TED Talks 3.
At this point, we're just collecting material that we've already shot and have no time whatsoever to edit. So
yeah, it's going to be like 10 years. We're finally going to get those Let's Play with each other's up, and we're going to be gray and bald and fat, and
we recorded like 30 episodes of that though. So
I know, but it's gonna be like, look at those young studs.
Oh,
remember that?
Shit, man! I'm already kind of dreading when those go up because I've lost about 45 pounds since we shot them. So,
oh really?
Yeah. I was.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't have no idea.
Oh yeah. I'm actually. Well, shit. I live in New York, so the pedestrian lifestyle is agreeing with me.
Yeah,
and also
also
not
the
living
tapeworms.
in Houston and the tapeworms.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell your friends about the show if you like it. We're very. If you like the fact that we've spent 21 minutes discussing absolutely nothing.
Although, to be fair, we were more on point with our tangents this week than we are normally. Like, we didn't even talk about Mitch Pileggi and William B. Davis coming back to the X-Files.
Well, now we have a perfect platform to do so. Let's take some calls.
Hello, Kongversation. I was wondering, what would you think about a Donkey Kong pegging game for the iPhone and Android and stuff like that, because of the news about Nintendo doing the mobile games? So I thought that would be a really good fit for the App Store. And yeah, by the way, this is not my real accent. I'm hiding my voice because I don't like to listen to my voice. So yeah, cheers.
Okay, thank you for this call. This is one of those mystery calls. Sometimes people forget that we have no idea who they are.
I like that they have that like built-in familiarity with us, where they think we'll just know automatically.
Yeah,
and I like to think that we do know on some level.
With Mamechi and Malik, it's never hard to tell who the calls are
because it's like the opposite ends of enthusiasm in their voice.
Right, exactly. But
hey, it's Malik.
Here's Mamechi.
Hey guys, it's Mamechi.
Hey, do you guys remember how depressing Doom Kong was? Something's going to happen, and it's a new Mamechi call. But anything in between, we have no idea. But thank you for the call. Do you think, Hyle, that a jungle climber or a king of swing would work on a touch screen based system?
I think it would, yeah. And, this is the kind of exciting thing about the mobile news, and where I think other people are kind of missing the forest for the trees. A game like King of Swing, it might be kind of considered like a toss-off, like just side game. It still costs money to make, to produce, to put out in retail stores.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we live in era of downloadable games. So we've got games on the eShop that never get a physical release. But this just expands the horizons even more. So now we have more opportunity, more possibility for games like that to be released because there's a whole other platform for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think a game like King of Swing is very well suited for mobile tablets, that kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know what Palin's up to nowadays. I would love for them to come back to the fold because they were really the torchbearers for several years during the buyout era. They kept Donkey Kong alive.
So, it strikes me, now that I think about it, that the control scheme was similar to the bongos for Jungle Beat in that really it was just a left and right by way of the shoulder button. The difference being that on King of Swing, you could hold the button to maintain your speed in a single direction or, to maintain grip on the pegs, whereas in Jungle Beat it required you to keep... you had to pan the whole time just to keep up movement in a direction. But I guess if it, was it really just that simple? I'm trying to think back to playing. Was it just the shoulder buttons?
Honestly, I don't remember anything about King of Swing because the characters just weren't fresh enough.
That's right. There was far too much continuity with K. Rool's flying machines, and it confused me as a gamer.
I was like, you know what? I really want some extreme, wildebeest. I want some bizarre chicken plant hybrids. This is just not what Donkey Kong means to me.
Right. As we all know, Kabukaku is the true realization of the modern Donkey Kong franchise.
Stop referring to him as a slave name. Call him Copcock, Chad.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I think that those games actually were just controlled with the LNR. Perhaps there was some menu navigation, but if that's the case, then I could easily see you be holding like an iPhone sideways and just touching your thumb on either side of the screen. You could probably control something along those lines fairly easily.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you could do with it. Like I mentioned maybe a revival of Coconut Crackers. Obviously that's never going to happen, but
Right.
It's fun. Of course, we live in an era of unlimited potential and possibility now, so who am I to say no?
Right, which we'll get into. I mean, for a long time, it seemed like there was a clear and permanent bifurcation in the Donkey Kong universe, but even as of about 12 hours ago, that doesn't seem quite so set in stone. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, I think it would be a good idea if Nintendo ever wanted to revive the pegging franchise. Why not?
Yeah. So, real quick though, this guy says not his real accent.
Mm-hmm.
He's hiding his voice. Is he in witness protection?
I think so. I think that might be a bulk of our listeners. Is that it's not really witness protection for criminal purposes. It's that they were outed as Kongversation listeners, and now they're in hiding from their friends and family.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm glad we could answer your question while pegging. So,
right. Next caller.
Hey guys, love the show. Just started listening. My name is MF Wolf. Just wanted to ask if you ever had some weird breakthrough moment like I had recently. In regards to the DKU. I thought forever that originally Diddy Kong's hat had a Rareware logo on it instead of a Nintendo logo. And then after the buyout, the infamous Microsoft buyout, of course, Nintendo changed the logo on the hat. But when I looked back, I found out that I completely made this up, and this never happened. I can't find one instance of Diddy Kong with a Rareware logo on his hat. Nowhere. The only thing even kind of close was Dixie Kong with a Rareware logo on her beret in, I believe, some of the box arts for Donkey Kong Country 2. Anyway, thought that was interesting and wanted to talk to you about it. Love the show. Bye.
Oh, well, thank you for the first-time call, and we're glad that you're listening to this nonsense at this point. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah.
Can I call you Wolfie?
Call him MF.
Wolfmeister MF. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
I couldn't really tell from the call actually whether it was MS Wolf, Microsoft Wolf, or MF motherfucking Wolf.
Or multiple sclerosis.
Right. That's
which is really the real reason Wolf was cut from the new Smash Brothers.
That's a lot of wave dashing unintentionally.
No.
So, we've touched on this in the past that there are some misconceptions that we've had, and it's funny that you mentioned the Diddy hat because a lot of mine from childhood stem from Donkey Kong Country 2 itself.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about the various like emblems and designs on the Kong's clothing that actually weren't in the Donkey Kong Country series. Like, Diddy's hat actually barely had a Nintendo logo on it during the Rare era. It did occasionally, but sometimes they would forget it. And the DKC series itself, they never put the designs on their clothing.
Yeah.
If you look at their in-game sprites, it really didn't start to the N64 era. And even then, Diddy didn't have the Nintendo on his hat in Diddy Kong Racing or Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, and
that started until Toadstool Tour. Dixie had the Rare pin on her beret, but she never actually had it in-game. So it just kind of gets a little convoluted.
Yeah, there's an excellent dissection of all of this at the DK Vine Tumblr that Cameron Regal has put together. And it also sort of speculates about some of the reasons. Perhaps with the Nintendo logo in particular, they wanted to make sure that these renders could be easily flipped or flopped depending on the marketing purpose.
Yeah.
There's some ideas like that, but. For me, the big one.
I wanted to talk about Donkey Kong's DK on his tie and how it was backwards during the N64 era when on the backside of the tie. Remember that?
Yeah, just in Mario Party though, right?
No. It was every N64 game with the DK on its tie, starting with Mario Party till Mario Party 3 had a backwards DK.
Even on
the
64?
Yes.
Oh,
Donkey Kong.
shit.
Yeah, it's something they kept consistent.
Man, well,
so.
if only there was a way for me to replay and reevaluate the backwards DK in that game.
Oh, well, unless you have an N64, good luck, because it's never getting re-released, ever. Jetpack, man. Jetpack's in the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. It would be virtually impossible for that to come out on the Wii U in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, I would say that my biggest epiphany was probably the pun title in Diddy's Conquest.
I feel like we bring this up all the time.
We do, but this is a new listener, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
It was Diddy's Conquest. I didn't realize that, it is not only a quest for Donkey Kong, but it is a conquest in that he is committing genocide in a foreign land.
Which is true. It's canon.
Right.
It's canon. Accidental genocide is still genocide.
Right. This is Diddy Kong's Crusade with a K. He's but that title, and I think also one of the worlds we both had a misconception about for the longest time, right?
Are you talking about Creme Quay?
I am.
that was more us being Americans not really hearing the word key spelt like that.
Yeah. Well,
because we've got the Florida Keys, right?
Yes.
And it's spelled Keys.
Mm-hmm.
In the British areas of the world, key is with a Q, and there's a U in there and an A. What?
Well, I think it's like when they write a check or stand in a queue. Although I prefer their spelling of Q for that purpose.
Yeah,
because to me, Q as in cue something up and Q as in a line are different enough nouns that I prefer to spell them differently.
Yeah.
This has been Grammar and Spelling with Hyle and Chad.
Yeah, actually, this would be nice if we had like educational episodes of the Kongversation. It'd be like Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
What was it? Was that the canceled one where?
No. Donkey Kong Jr. Math was a thing, but it was Donkey Kong's Fun with Music that was canceled.
That's the one where he plays the bass guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was definitely intentionally referenced at the end of Tropical Freeze.
Given Retro's penchant for referencing the arcade era, I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, anything else you can think of as a breakthrough or an epiphany that we've had?
Obviously, Diddy's Conquest is the big thing. Although, there's a lot of little things a lot of puns I didn't get till I was older, especially in Donkey Kong Land 3, like Red Wharf. Obviously, DKC 3 there is Bleak's house.
Right.
I think I got K3 early. I knew what K3 was referencing. And of course, that was another double pun because it was Country 3 and also referencing the mountain.
Yeah. And there was, I'd say definitely in the Banjo series, there were some innuendo that my tender 13-year-old brain did.
Innuendo.
Yeah, plenty of callbacks that I just was not able to. I just didn't have the frame of reference for. And then even in Tui, 3 years later, I've been replaying Tui. I spent a couple hours yesterday with it, and I beat Canary Mary, and she gave in Glitter Gulch Mine, and she gave me the Cheeto page, and
she was using it as a tampon.
Yes, she said it's been that one's been wedged up in, and Kazooie cuts her off. Oh, I don't even want to know. And, as a kid, I was like, oh, it was upper butt, ha, ha, ha. But no, as an adult, I now realize that they were perhaps suggesting that she was using it as a tampon.
Wait, Canary Mary is the foulest character, I think.
She's disgusting.
And I hold that up to all of the characters from Bad Fur Day, which are, supposed to be the foulest. No, Canary Mary. I think... a big one for me that I think it was Joe who pointed it out to us was Professor Von Cripplespack.
Oh yeah,
not Cripple-Sack, and what Cripple-Spack was referring to.
Yeah, because apparently in England, this is another one of those across the pond things. Spack is a very rude way to refer to someone with a physical handicap or a mental one. I think it's just handicaps in general.
Yeah. I think it's the equivalent to us calling people tards.
Yeah, so they made that part along with the word cripple. They made that his name.
Yeah, Rare was not very politically correct back in the day. Although they did give us the most progressive LGBT characters we have.
Ooh.
Which I still maintain did more good than harm because Banjo and Kazooie completely accepted them, and then Jolly Roger became a racer and banjo pilot. So
that's true. For all the extreme campy playing up of the stereotype, the one thing that in the mission with Jolly and Mary Maggie, Kazooie is unrelenting with just her shit talking and dismissal of every other character in the game, but she doesn't have one negative word to say about Jolly and Mary Maggie, despite the fact that there is some literal low-hanging fruit right in front of her.
Right, and not a reference to Mary Maggie being a drag queen, which, by the way, this is a discussion we had behind the scenes too. Obviously, Jolly and Mary Maggie are in a relationship; they're partners, so it's implied.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some discussion. But wait, Mary Maggie's transgendered. Well, no. Then I was set straight. No, she's just probably a drag queen.
Oh, okay.
So. It's not that she identifies as a woman, which would make her relationship with Jolly suspect. It's just
suspect.
Well,
suspect in the eyes of the ESRB circa 2000. Unfortunately,
no, but in the okay, never mind. I'm digging myself a hole.
You are. The Kongversation is a very progressive, tolerant, and accepting show, and we're trying to praise the inclusion of Jolly and Mary Maggie for what they were. In that era.
In 2000.
Yes.
The year 2000 was not very progressive. This was pre-Will and Grace, people. Pre-Will and Grace.
I feel like Will and Grace just sort of perpetually existed throughout the late 90s, early aughts, but no. I guess they came on a little later, huh?
This is before Joe Biden realized that gay rights were worthy of championing.
Joe Biden. I didn't know about his conversion into common sense thinking.
No, because he watched Will and Grace. That's what he said. He
Really?
said Will and Grace changed his mind. Yes.
Oh my God! See, for a second I thought,
I've brought this up on this show before. I've referenced this.
which is strange.
How are you not keeping notes?
It's strange because my memory is normally just like a vault. Anything that goes in, I could just open it up and easily reference. But
I think it's because you've memorized like every inch of Banjo Tooie, and therefore
there are
Donkey
there are
64.
there are a few inches in Pterodactyland that I've definitely spent some time memorizing.
Oh yeah, that was more news this week too that we're probably not going to touch.
Right. Just the acknowledgement of the giant penis in Pterodactyland by the people who made it. That's all.
Yeah.
They acknowledged that it existed and they called it infamous.
And they tried to pass the buck. Oh, I didn't make that. It was an interview on the Platonic site. Go check it out.
Yeah, they laid responsibility at the doorstep of Greg Mails.
Right.
Anyway, it was like Chris Sutherland was like, nope. Steve Mails says, nope. Gavin Price, not me. It was Greg, the guy who's not working for Platonic. So, thank you for the call, MF Wolf.
Yes, thank you. All right, next call.
Hey, baby, you ain't gonna believe who finally called in. It's the Kongversation's favorite president, Bill Clinton. You may wonder how I'm calling from Malik's area, and you see, I'm visiting him while on vacation in Canada this lovely April 1st. Haven't seen a single bear up here, but that leads me to the questions I got here for you. Do you guys have a favorite Brothers Bear from Donkey Kong Country 3? And is it true that Banjo from the Banjo-Kazooie games, he's an original family member from that? Is that true? I hear rumors about that all the time. Anyway, I'd say that Blue Bear was my favorite member just because he had a unique theme and he made the player feel a bit of sympathy towards him. But that's all I wanted to say. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta head back to the States. I promised like a couple of puppy dog children that I'd play the saxophone with them. They live in a water tower and whatnot. But yeah, that's happening. Sorry, guys. It's April Fool's Day. I thought it would be funny if I did something like this. It's not going to happen again. You can answer the call. You can answer the question, but you don't have to answer the call. But whatever. See ya.
Come on, Malik. I almost wish you had stuck with it.
I'm kind of hurt.
I was delighted to hear the dulcet tones of Bill Clinton.
I really thought we nabbed 42 as a fan.
42. Oh God, I hate the president so much.
No, I was excited. I was like, we got him. We got President Clinton.
Yeah, but no.
I feel like he would enjoy our show.
Yeah, he might actually. I would imagine that per Malik's incredible, incomparable impression, that Bill Clinton actually would be interested in the Brothers Bear. It seems like relevant subject matter for some reason.
I don't know if Clinton would like Blue Bear the best. I think he would find more kinship with Bachelor Bear.
I don't know, baby. That Blue Bear, he reminds me of my balls.
Oh, come on, me. You know, I don't ever let my balls get blue. I'm draining those suckers every night.
My balls are more like Boomer Bear, always going off. and then, I try...
more like Barter Bear, and I always give them out to any ladies who want them.
When doing my impression, I bit my lower lip and realized there's no way for the listener to see that. And I gave a half thumbs up.
I'm like baffled Bear that the ladies have no idea how I just got them off.
You might think I have 4 hands, but those are just my paws, baby.
I'm like Blunder Bear in that I should not have had sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
That was his blunder?
Yeah.
What I should have done in my deposition is speak backwards.
I'm like Bramble Bear in that I'm always planting my stem.
What? Okay, this is what happens when improv goes into the toilet. I don't know what. Let's see. Do we have a favorite Brothers Bear? I feel like we've talked about this at least half a dozen times.
But I feel like this is an evergreen topic that I'll never get tired of.
Which Brothers Bear is best?
Which Brothers Bear is best? Copyright Matt Cornell. You know what? I'm always gonna have to go with my boy Bizarre, and that's just not because he's the first brother bear we saw, but think about it. Bizarre Bear befriended Funky, went into business with him with the sheepy shop. Clear, that's canon. So, you know, I feel like Bizarre Bear has the tightest relationship with the Kongs. I feel like Funky Kong has Bizarre Bear on speed dial. He's the one that's going to be easiest to get back into the franchise. I want him as a shopkeeper in a new Donkey Kong game. Bizarre Bear for life. After that, Bazooka Bear.
Okay, fair enough.
After that, Barnacle Bear.
For me, it's constantly...
After that, probably Blizzard Bear. No, Bramble Bear. Ooh, I don't know.
Bramble's a good one.
Who's my fourth favorite brother bear, Chad? I don't really know.
Bear is the fourth best. I would say I thought you would go with Bramble, considering he's a nature loving hippie.
Well, Bramble's definitely in my fave 5.
Your fave 5 bears. He's the final 5. They're in the fracking chemisphere.
Is that really how Michael Hogan pronounces cremisphere?
Cremisphere? I would think so. That like weird Canadian drawl that he has. In the fracking ship. Oh
God! I remember 2009. It was just nothing but us doing like in the midst of LA. We'd see each other. We'd like pass each other in a hall. We just do a Michael Hogan impression.
Yeah, they're not even really. It's like the one-word West Wing impressions where we go, yeah. It's Michael Hogan sometimes is just whoa.
And then when he had the eye patch on, all he had to do was widen his eye and like make guttural noises.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't fracking Earth. That fracking Baltar.
Ellen, you're the fifth.
It's time to kill Ulfric Stormcloak.
Actually, your Michael Hogan is kind of like Canadian Nixon.
You're right. That's all it is. And we've established I do like 3 voices,
but you do them well. People love your voices.
Yeah. Conker is just a reappropriated Nixon, believe it or not.
We actually had a request to start this episode with us singing the DK rap. Actually, you and Matt. Saf didn't want me in there, so sorry, but we're not doing that.
No. Maybe there's an opportunity for that in the future, but not this episode. We have too much to get to and no time to waste.
I'm sure we'll have a musical episode at some point because we got to win that Tony. We got to EGOT at some point.
Right. Yeah. We got to catch up with Matt and Trey.
we got the E. We just need the GOT. So
see, that's the easy part. It's the GOT. The E's the one that's hard to peg down.
Yeah, the Grammy and Tony, we can do that eyes closed.
Well, and you can get those in a fell swoop, 1-2, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you do a musical, you're going to get the Tony. You have to adapt the musical into a film to get the Oscar.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Grammy will come from the soundtrack.
Of course, obviously. And then the Emmy is going, well, we've got the Emmy. That's the part that doesn't really dovetail into the other ones, and you have to be an auteur, and you have to actually have skills in multiple genres and all this fruity phony baloney nonsense.
Whatever. We're just gonna write a book, read the audio version, win a Grammy.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
Works for me.
We're such dicks. We just blew ourselves for 15 seconds, 20 seconds.
What do you think?
Upwards of a minute.
We've blown ourselves for like 115 episodes.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm always spitting on the air.
That's attractive these days, you know.
Oh, I hate that.
The whole subgenre of blowjob porn where it's all spitting.
Yeah.
No. It's not a fan. Just like, don't be so violent. That poor penis.
So back to this is really appropriate for a Bill Clinton call, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Like Bill Clinton gets us into the gutter.
Oh, yeah. You mean the blowjob conversation?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you meant to help segue into actual subject matter, But, but no, Bill Clinton is the exact opposite of that.
Chad, you didn't tell me what Brothers Bear is best.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't. It always fluctuates for me. Today I'm thinking the 1-2 punch of Benny and Bjorn.
Yeah, I think April 4th is a very good day for Benny and Bjorn appreciation. I feel like April 4th. Yeah, I woke up this morning and I thought, it feels like a Benny and Bjorn day.
Yeah. There's no real reason for it, but you wake up feeling like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Benny and Bjorn, I think they're closer to late February and March because they got the chairlifts and that's tied into skiing. I really feel like it's Bramble Bear's time to shine. Although,
there's no snow in Razor Ridge.
There's no snow in Razor Ridge. That's true. So March when the snow starts to melt, but there's still chairlifts that are active.
Right, which is strange. Why would they still? I guess so that you can get to that cachet of banana birds.
Well, you didn't read my post on Razor Ridge on DK Vine's Facebook page under Destination Donkey Kong Universe, where I said it was for the benefit of the tourists who want to get higher up on the ridge, but it's not accessible through hiking. So
makes perfect sense to me.
It's perfect sense. I explain it all on Facebook. Subscribe.
Gross.
As for Banjo being a brother bear,
oh yeah,
that's not true. That's not true at all. He is a bear, Banjo Bear, but he is not related to the brothers bear.
Right. He is a brother and he is a bear.
But he's a bro. He's not a brother.
No,
steal line from It's Not Easy Being White.
Oh, right. Right. But not my brother. Yeah, that's from the what is that guy's name from off
David Schwartz.
No, from off of American Idol. The hung jury, William Hung. That's the William Hung version of the Franklin theme.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. From My Name is Judge. Anyway, so yeah, no, but he is an actual brother. He has a sister that's often forgotten.
Right. No, but there are relations. Like the brothers bear are all related.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of relations.
Just like Donkey, Cranky, Wrinkly, possibly Swanky are related. Just like Dixie, Tiny, Chunky, and Kitty's adopted, but you know what I mean. Just like they're all family,
mm-hmm.
But then every Kong has a last name of Kong, but Funky's not related to Dixie, for example.
Right.
So it's
that would just be absurd.
It would be. So Banjo, is a bear. He's got the bear surname according to DK Vine, but he's not related. So
yeah. All right. So as we discussed, we have no time to waste. We've got so much news to get to. All of this really started to happen. Well, as we said, it started earlier, but April Fool's Day, of all days, was really when the floodgates opened.
A day where I want to just avoid the internet entirely.
Yeah.
Because the internet turns into a cesspool, and it's exhausting to see like all my favorite sites become unreadable for a day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what, I'm out.
Although I am very happy with the Lobo Destroyo April Fool's gag that we helped Jamie out with.
Oh yeah, that was delightful. If you weren't aware, the gag was that Lobo Destroyo is now going to be released in a couple months because it's been decided to make the game using Project Spark.
Yeah, and there's a pretty solid write-up with some amazing visual accompaniment if you go to the Kickstarter page for Lobo Destroyo.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out if you fancy it. But there was a Nintendo Direct that Nintendo announced a few days prior to April 1st that we were all sort of. I mean, they made it very clear that this is not an April Fool's joke. There's going to be some actual information on this one, but considering how close we are to E3, we didn't and the fact that they had just given the bad Zelda news that EGA Onuma came on and said they're going to delay until 2016 so they can focus on some new gameplay elements. We thought, okay, they're probably going to be holding their big guns for E3. Maybe this will be a little bit about their DNA partnership.
Diddy Kong Racing Wii U is clearly going to save the holiday season, much like Diddy Kong Racing did in 1997.
Right. No Zelda, pull out a Diddy Kong.
Right. No Banjo-Kazooie, pull out a Diddy Kong.
Right. Don't want to get Dixie Kong pregnant? Pull out a Diddy Kong. But the day started. We knew about this direct that would be in the evening in America.
And by the way, fuck you, internet, for I like every time a new Nintendo Direct is announced, all the like shitty little hoaxsters, the hucksters, Mike Huckabee, they all come out of the woodwork to try to pull one over on people. Like, oh, this is the leak. This is the leak. It's been leaked that this is what the Nintendo Direct is going to be about. We're going to register site domains and have countdown clocks. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a new Star Fox game from who the fuck cares? It's all of this shit. Like, would you stop? Would you just be fans and stop trying to fool people? I know it's April Fool's Day, but you guys do this all the time, so that's no excuse.
It's not even that. Now I have to be a skeptic 365 days out of the year, and it's turning me cynical, and you have to make a concerted effort to fight that cynicism. And okay, let's take a measured approach. Let's not get excited about this, but maybe it's possible. Maybe let's consider the source. It's requiring everyone to be an investigative journalist now.
Yeah, and you know what? If you, the listener, ever think about doing this, if you ever think about, I'm gonna leak something, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be so hilarious, I'm gonna fool everybody. Do not put a fake leak in your hat and call it macaroni. You're not Sal Romano.
That's right. Although I will say the only legitimate reason I can see for making like a fake Smash roster leak is if you do an amazing job, you can use it as part of like, this is my Photoshop After Effects reel.
Yeah, that's so shitty though. That's so underhanded.
Right, but hey, I gotta say, it's a creative way to show off your skills and get a ridiculous amount of attention for it. So.
Yeah, this is why the top 1% are all unethical robber barons who have no morals.
Because there's a guy who faked that Rayman was in Smash Brothers.
Because to get ahead in life, you need to screw over as much people as possible.
Oh, yeah. He was drinking all of our milkshakes at that moment.
God damn it. It's awful.
But the day started with a little bit better news than this Nintendo Direct that we were like partially dreading,
I always kind of dread a Nintendo Direct. I'm like, ooh, there's going to be a new Nintendo Direct. Fuck. It's like it's just all that anxiety and not really anxiety, but just okay, let's take time out of our day to sit and watch this. At least with E3 you can prepare for it. It's an event.
Yeah.
With Nintendo Direct, it's announced out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh, well, what's my schedule look like? Can I make it? Can I do this? Can I do that? At least it was at 6 p.m. Eastern time this time instead of like 9 a.m. I don't know why they choose the times they do. If it was consistent, that would be great.
Right. It was strange, but I'm glad it was 6 p.m. because that gave me time to get home from work and line up my shots for the Please Understand drinking game, which
right.
I was annoyingly sober after this one.
Yeah, I didn't have to understand anything.
Nor was I asked to do that in a very polite way.
It was like high school all over again.
So, but we had a good omen that started out the day.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Platonic, which really, when you look at the rare Renaissance, and when you look at all the good stuff that's happening, it was really Platonic that kind of got the ball rolling.
I mean, the word Renaissance so much.
It's taken off, man. It's taken off. It's taken off. People love it.
Hashtag Renaissance.
Hashtag Renaissance. So, no, but I mean, post-Tropical Freeze, we kind of had a fallow period, and there was this kind of a little bit of bitterness with Smash Brothers. But then Platonic came about and really got like the good vibes going, the good vibrations, man.
Yeah.
And they're more Brian Wilson than Mike Love, and so. Leave it to Platonic to really get the day off on a good note. They tweeted a picture of Chris Sutherland, and it was actually Mark Stevenson. Mm-hmm. Some people on Twitter didn't know who the guy who wasn't Chris Sutherland was. Some people thought it was David Wise.
Well, obviously, Chris Sutherland has risen to fame thanks to our show. So,
all right, international celebrity. We're the tastemakers here at the Kongversation.
No one gave a shit about this Sutherland guy until we came along.
Chris Sutherland, it's like every time he leaves his home, it's like the opening of A Hard Day's Night. He just
He's jumping from yellow banana car to yellow banana car.
Yeah, wearing a fake goatee. Meanwhile, Gavin Price is trying to buy a bag of milk, and he rips it off in his mouth, and he has to throw it away.
Right. All lovingly rendered in black and white.
But no, it was Mark Stevenson, the bald guy at Platonic. That's how you remember. And they tweeted a picture of them playing, of all things, Donkey Kong goddamn Tropical Freeze.
Donkey Kong
Country.
goddamn Tropical Freeze.
Well, the goddamn, I replace country and goddamn interchangeably.
Oh.
It's just,
see, you need to love it or get out, man. Love it or leave it. If you think country and goddamn are the same, you should just get out. What I loved about this, though, is that the one word they tweeted along with the picture was research. And if you recall, Retro Studios said that when they were doing research for Donkey Kong Country Returns, they played along with Donkey Kong Country games, Banjo
and
Kazooie.
Donkey Kong Land. Yeah, they played Donkey Kong Country, the trilogy, the Donkey Kong Land trilogy, and the only other game they played for research for Donkey Kong Country Returns,
Banjo Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie.
And now you've got the people who, not only made Donkey Kong Country in Part 2, but Banjo Kazooie playing Tropical Freeze for research. It's just it's this Ouroboros of like our heroes. It's amazing of these creators of content that we are in love with, and they're all eating each other's tails in a delightfully non-sexual way.
I was gonna say eating each other's blank. What? Where are we going with this?
Has the show turned into the match game?
Where's the best place for Platonic to make whoopee?
All right.
I guess not a barn anymore, but yeah, it's
a sure retweet. Male Platonic, a bag of blank.
What I love about this is it not only is the Donkey Kong universe a thing in the context of the games, but it's also now becoming a thing behind the scenes where you've got this unified, almost collaboration. I mean, obviously Retro and Platonic aren't collaborating, but you got the shared link of David Wise and them leeching influence off of each other, and it's really heartening to see as fans. And also, you can see that they in the Platonic's I guess one room studio, they have underneath their TV, in addition to their Wii U, they have an N64. And there was some debate about this, but I confirmed it with Matt and Joe. There's a PAL edition of Donkey Kong Country 2 under there as well.
In their Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be mentioned is the stage they're playing on Tropical Freeze is Grassland Groove, which means they've already gotten through the superlative Autumn Heights. They're actually putting in some legitimate time into the game to check it out, which is just it's so cool.
I if they're having the same reaction to Grassland Groove as so many other people are, which is this, like, this is a phenomenon that I just started to notice, but there's so many grown men on the internet saying about how Grassland Groove made them cry. I'm serious. You'll go to like YouTube comments, go to there was a video the other week posted by I forget who it was, but it was some like huge gaming news site. They do a lot of videos, and I'm sure we'll talk about it at some future point, but they were talking about how the one guy was skeptical of Tropical Freeze, and he was like, just a silly platform, and he played it almost a year later.
Oh, this might have been Giant Bomb.
I don't know,
because I know that there were some people there that were critical that have come around. Maybe I'm off,
but no, I think you might be. But anyway, so he was saying like Grassland Groove made him cry.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, this is incredible. It's like reaching some primal, visceral like nerve in people. But yeah, I like to imagine both Sutherland and Mark Stevenson were just weeping openly at Grassland Groove. Like, quick, tweet this.
Please, just make sure you get the back of our heads.
Anyway, so and of course this, we've speculated, Gavin Price's comments that they'd love to get Banjo-Kazooie in the Xbox version of Project Ukulele. Then we speculated, well, maybe they could get Donkey and Diddy in the Nintendo version. I love how all these possibilities are starting to be put on the table.
Right. And if you might think that's a bit of a stretch, just keep in mind that in addition to creating Banjo, these guys also created Diddy Kong. So
Right. They made Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2. They were on, or at least they were, partially responsible for it. Not to belittle anybody who's not on the Platonic team.
Sure. But I mean, this core group of people, the Banjo team, as they have come to be known before Platonic, they were the Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 team, plus or minus some membership.
Right. I mean, and all Platonic's not the whole Banjo team, but
Andy Robinson is a Johnny Come Lately. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great to see, and I think, oh man, the future's looking bright, and just to see, why would they even tweet them playing Tropical Freeze other than to excite nerds like us?
That's the only reason. They knew what they were doing, and the aforementioned Andy Robinson is he's doing a great job with the promotion of Platonic, and that I'm sure that was one of his tweets, but
still, it's like they don't have to be doing this, and they are, and it's really, really thrilling to see.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how we started the day, and
that would have been enough. Most days that would have just like made our whole weeks, our whole months even.
Right.
But no. There was more.
There was more indeed. We finally got to the long-awaited. Well, was there anything else through the day? I think it might have been a tidbit or two of Project Spark news. I mean,
there's always Project Spark news right now. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, you're gonna show a new angle on the cock and plucker.
Right.
It's terrific.
Well, I thankfully it was right after work, so it was a 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I got
11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
Right. So a little late. Matt Corna, who is possibly the biggest Donkey Kong 64 fan on the staff, but he's an Englishman. He decided to go to sleep because he had a big work day the next day, and we're like, Matt, something's gonna happen. You're gonna want to see this. And he goes, nah, fuck it. It's a Nintendo Direct. He went to sleep.
It's just gonna be a bunch of anime-looking games that with J-pop songs playing over them. It's not gonna interest me. Which, to be fair, there's plenty of that.
Oh, there was a solid 20-minute block of that in the Direct. But what wasn't part of that block?
Okay, so the big news was that Nintendo 64 games are coming to the Virtual Console.
That is
the
correct.
Wii U Virtual Console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the big news. I guess that was one of the first things they mentioned, and that.
No, it was like at least 20 minutes into.
Oh, you're right, because they talked about Smash first. Yeah, they always talk about Smash first. What happened with this is that they announced an N64 thing, which everyone has kind of been wanting. We all thought it was cool. We weren't sure, are they going to do it in HD? What's going to happen? But then, just as a little aside, one of the clips they showed running on the N64, the emulator from the Virtual Console, was Donkey Kong 64.
And we were in the staff chat. We kind of freaked the fuck out.
Oh yeah, for new listeners, the DK Vine quote unquote volunteer staff, we have a Skype chat that's just like persistently running, and we discuss the news in there.
The inner circle,
right? Because that's how you appeal to newcomers, is to explain exactly how insular we all are.
But no, I was mashing on the keyboard. I was like not even making words at that point. I was just like smacking it like it's my bitch. And I was just, and then I was like starting to doubt it. I was just like, oh, they're just trolling us. They just pulled an N64 game out. There's no plans to actually release this on the Virtual Console.
Well, let's talk about why we thought this was a non-starter for years.
Right, because to new listeners, to people who aren't as steeped in the long discussions and rumor mill and lore of the Donkey Kong universe, you might think, well, why wouldn't they put Donkey Kong 64 on the Virtual Console? Valid question. Here's why. There's a company called Rare. And they made Donkey Kong 64, among other Donkey Kong games. And they were bought by Microsoft. Now, ordinarily, you wouldn't think this would be a problem because Nintendo owns the assets to Donkey Kong games.
Right.
You would think, at least. There might still be some legal issues there, which we'll get into with the country games. But, the country games and the land games finally came to the eShop the other month. and that was huge.
And
I mean,
there were some, well, and one of the things we can get into is that, for example, when Rare was bought by Microsoft, the intellectual property was sort of divvied up between the two companies. And the general line of demarcation was the stuff that Rare invented, they get to keep. The stuff Nintendo invented, they get to keep. But like in Donkey Kong Country 2 that was recently released, there was an arcade cabinet for Killer Instinct, which is now a revived franchise on the Xbox One.
Yeah, but it was in there, untouched, and and to be fair, it's Rare invented most of Donkey Kong's world at this point, but Nintendo gets to keep it, minus the Diddy Kong Racing characters, even though they're kind of in a legally nebulous area, so both companies probably won't be touching them anytime soon, unless, well, we'll get into that. But
there's a lot of hope on that front, which
anyway, so that's all well and good. There's references to other Rare games in Country 2 in particular. I don't know about the other Country or Land games, maybe not, but
there's a lot of Rare logos, of course, all over the place.
But that's really not a big deal.
It really was. I mean, you can tell now that it's crystal clear that the Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 team went on to do Banjo, Tooie, and then Grabbed by the Ghoulies. They are the ones that are such a huge fan of self-referential elements in the games.
Right. It's no wonder we became such huge fans of Arrested Development because the amount of like insular callbacks is staggering.
Right. The fact that the Rusty Bucket is out of port at Twycross, like that is utterly meaningless.
It's landlocked though. Twycross is landlocked.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all well and good, but Donkey Kong 64 was a bit more problematic. It was very problematic.
Yes.
It contains, not only does it contain the original arcade Donkey Kong, and something people don't really realize is that the original arcade Donkey Kong is not available anywhere on the Virtual Console. It's never been re-released on any platform. Mm-hmm. It's always the NES version or an edited version of the NES version to replicate the arcade version.
And it always changes some key things that differentiated and especially like there's not really a speed running community, but the high score arcade community. The version that would
the King of Kong documentary really did a great job getting into that community, which I recommend that documentary. Even if you're not an arcade Donkey Kong fan, it's still vastly entertaining. Very well done.
Yeah, but there's not a version that exists outside that arcade cabinet that would satisfy the requirements for those people to play or even practice on.
Well, I mean, you would have to have, to be authentic, you would have to have the
kill screen?
Arcade. Well, the arcade console itself. You'd have to have the joystick, the buttons.
That's true. But nothing even approaching that version. But Rare included it in Donkey Kong 64.
Right, and so there's actually been some legal issues behind the original arcade game, which is why Nintendo's mostly avoided it. Rare, however, doesn't give a fuck. they and there's talk on the DK Vine forum right now how they went about doing that. Was it just straight emulation, or did they recreate it from the ground up?
Well, and I think that we have our answer as part of the discussion, and I apologize to who made this point, but I think it's pretty much the smoking gun. The fact that in both the Donkey Kong 64 quote-unquote port and the Donkey Kong arcade port and what was the Spectrum port of Rare's first game, Jetpack, also available in DK64, which is really the crux of all this legal ballyhoo. In both of those, you collect an item. In Donkey Kong, it's the Nintendo coin. In Jetpack, it's the Rare coin. But in the arcade versions of those games, those coins show up and have many more colors and are much more fully rendered than those arcade games would be capable of doing. So what that sort of suggests is that these are not emulators being run on the N64, but rather those games have been rewritten from the ground up with an amazing attention to detail.
That's staggering, if true.
If true. But to me, that's, like I said, that's the smoking gun. That's the evidence that makes sense for me. If it was truly a MAME emulator or a Spectrum emulator, they wouldn't be able to show those coins in that way. unless they were superimposed on top of the game as like this virtual machine abstraction layer. Which,
given the fact that Donkey Kong 64 had to run on the expansion pack or else it would crash, I wouldn't put anything past Rare at this point.
right. But they are definitely altered forms, but at the same time, they are the most faithful recreations that have ever been released.
Yeah, altered states. They're actually de-evolving into their Neanderthal forms.
That's right. Hence all of the apes running around the game.
Right. So you mentioned Jetpack, and yes, that is the crux of it, because Jetpack was Rare's first game when they were Ultimate, play the game, and, well, that's now owned by Microsoft, that game. Yeah. And
they released what was it, Jetpack Refueled for the Xbox Live Arcade.
Right. So it's Microsoft's intellectual property. It's not just a cute reference. It's you playing the game. If you get to that point in Donkey Kong 64, which isn't hard to do, you get what, 15 banana medals,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You get Jetpack, and you can play it anytime you want. You just go to Cranky's Lab. So that's always been what's held Donkey Kong 64 up as far as never being considered to be on the virtual console. And we've had years of discussion of this. There's been, they're going to have to just remake it for the DS and then the 3DS. And, they can put it on the virtual console. They'll just have to remove Jetpack,
right.
which my question was, how? Like, what are you... Because then you'd have to put in... one of the popular suggestions was they can put in Donkey Kong Jr. But then what are you going to do with the Rare coin? Is it going to be a second Nintendo coin? That's just a lot of coding, a lot of hacking the game up. And Nintendo's never going to put the effort into that, especially for I don't even know how it works. It's a 15-year-old game made by a foreign company that is notorious for their complicated coding and games that cannot be emulated. It's just...
Yeah, it's like if Nintendo was going to... you start pulling on that one thread, and the entire... sweater that is Donkey Kong 64 is going to unravel.
And it's a huge sweater. I mean, it's a sweater made for obese Americans. It's a huge game.
Right, and it's like we know that Rare was amazing at hacking like the assembly source code of the N64 dev kits to actually do these crazy lighting effects and everything, and that's why emulators can't run them with much fidelity. But
if you look at emulated versions of Donkey Kong 64, like you can just look at videos of them. It has this weird graphical glitch where it'll be like a line shooting out of the characters' backs every now and then.
It'll be like one of the vertices on the polygon vector will just like its point will be all the way across the game world. So it doesn't know how to render everything, and so that tells me that while it all works, if all the game code is in precisely that configuration, there's the chance that even swapping out one thing, it's like it's all duct taped together. It could very easily just come crumbling apart. So and also that goes against what Nintendo's MO is with these virtual console releases. They want them to be entirely faithful reproductions.
Right, and you look at, we don't consider them new games. We don't consider them, it's not like Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Advance.
Right.
This is, we consider them just ways to play the old games. They're not given a separate listing on the games page. So if they ever did fundamentally alter Donkey Kong 64, we would have to put that on the games list as Donkey Kong 64, like Virtual Console Edition or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of historical precedence. They did remove billboards in I think Wave Race 64 or something.
But that's just that's a texture swap. That's not an actual code change.
Right, and again, it's easier for Nintendo, I think, to do it for one of their games versus one of Rare's games.
Yes. I mean, Rare and Factor 5 both really took the system to task to get the most out of it, and I doubt you would see a Shadows of the Empire re-release, with many changes to it.
Well, why would you? That's not canon anymore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, of course. We wouldn't want to have an interesting backstory in the Star Wars universe, would we?
No, Dash Rendar just completely contradicts what J.J. Abrams is trying to accomplish in Star Wars Episode 7.
I know one of those names. I don't know what Dash Rendar is. What's
Dash Rendar was the protagonist of the Shadows of the Empire video game.
Oh, it's been a long time.
He was an associate of Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, and he was hired by Leia to be the bodyguard to Luke Skywalker because he had assassination attempts from Prince Shizor, who was trying to usurp Darth Vader's role as second in command to the Emperor. And to do that, he was going to kill Luke Skywalker, who Darth Vader was trying to capture and convert to the dark side.
How do you have room in your brain for this and all of Razor Ridge's intricacies?
Well, I didn't have sex for many years.
Oh, okay, that'd do it. So
remember that episode of Seinfeld where George stops having sex and he just takes up all these intellectual pursuits?
Yeah.
I'm like that, but with stupid pop culture.
And games with talking monkeys.
Stupid pop
culture. Yeah, I guess that's the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have a very different definition of pop culture than most of the world.
True. Anyway, so Shadows of the Empire was actually, I really enjoyed that novel. For me, it'll always be canon. Fuck you, Lucasfilm. So, anyway, yeah, so, historical precedents, texture swaps, and Wave Ray 64 aside, it was always dubious, and the easiest answer was they're just never going to touch Donkey Kong 64 again. It's going to be like Diddy Kong Racing. It's just going to be a game that they'll sometimes acknowledge in Smash Brothers trophy descriptions at the very end.
Yeah.
Games, Donkey Kong 64, 1999.
Yeah, and you can say, oh, I remember that, but I'll never get to see it again.
Yeah, and people have been saying, well, who cares if it's on the Virtual Console? You have your N64, don't you? That's missing the point that younger gamers can't experience it.
And yes, I do have. As I said earlier, I was playing Banjo Tooie. I could just as easily pop in DK64, but now I'm holding out.
Yeah. So yes, it was on the screen. Donkey Kong 64. We all freaked out, but that little niggling little doubt center in my brain said, okay, this isn't really coming to the Virtual Console. It's going to be Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
It's going to be possibly Zelda, even though they're trying to push the 3DS ports, so maybe not Zelda quite yet. You're going to get some of the old tried and true stalwarts. We're not going to see Donkey Kong 64, especially because we waited how long to get the country games back on the eShop?
Years and years. Yeah.
We hadn't seen Donkey Kong Land up until the other month. We'll see Donkey Kong 64 maybe at some point, but more than likely we'll never see it.
Right. And yet at the end of this announcement, they said Super Mario 64 is out today, and this is the U.S. Direct, mind you.
And I did a masturbation pantomime when I saw that. I was just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get to that unfinished castle roof. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Can't wait to see Yoshi that you can't even ride.
Oh yeah, the hideous over polygonal Yoshi who like towers over Mario.
Even the Smash model looked better.
To be fair, the Banjo games do it too, where the NPCs are usually huge.
Oh yeah, well that's
remember Tip Top.
Well, yes, but that's mostly because the camera is going to be over your shoulder, and that's also probably the same reason they did it with Mario 64. I guess it's a forced perspective kind of thing.
I guess it's like the overworld of Donkey Kong 64. The size is not actually canon. It's all gameplay mechanics.
Right, but Peach's Castle is definitely just half constructed, and that's canon.
Right. There's no way to fan wank that shit.
No. But yeah, that was available in America. But what we didn't know is that in the aforementioned staff chat, we also had Joe Mudd, an Englishman alongside Matt Corna, who did not go to sleep at that time, who saw a different date announcement.
Joe is an insomniac.
Well, he is of late, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
I think he's getting some sleep these days.
I don't think he enjoys it like I do.
So Joe saw Out Now Donkey Kong 64, as did
No, it was actually Playtonic tweeted it too.
Yeah, but it was the same in the Japanese Direct as well. Basically everywhere but North America. I think Australia got it too. Everywhere but North America has it now, and here we're waiting for April 16th.
Yes, given Nintendo of America's I don't know if it was hesitation or just procrastination to put Donkey Kong Country back on the eShop. We were if we knew that it was out in the UK and Japan now, we would have probably like started overturning tables. But yeah, no, we don't have long to wait. April 16th, as you said.
Yeah.
And that is, oh my God, what?
It's shocking. And you know, there was some back and forth. Are these HD? What's going on? What it looks like is that they are 640 by 480. Sort of the same rendering that you had on the N64 Virtual Console on the Wii, but with the Wii, of course, those were component cables which have some analog signal loss, and it wasn't as clear a signal as the pure HDMI that you get from the Wii U. So they are a higher resolution than the Nintendo 64, you know, and they are being viewed on your television by way of a superior video signal. So this is going to be the best looking you will ever see DK64.
Yeah, and you know, the Geek Critique actually streamed playing Super Mario 64 like 5 minutes after the direct ended, and Super Mario 64 looked nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because all the HUD elements, all of the 2D sprites, basically, there's no way to up-res those without just recreating them. And again, they might as well do a 3D remake a la The Legend of Zelda if they're going to do something like that. So
a la Super Mario 64 DS.
Exactly. Although that was an even lower resolution.
I know.
Yeah, but you know, so those still look fairly pixelated, but all the polygonal vector graphics, of course, can scale infinitely. So those are the ones that look quite a bit sharper. There's also no more slowdown. So what we've heard is that on Donkey Kong 64, they sort of, when developing that game, they took the console slowdown into account. Like fights like Mad Jack, for example, there's a huge amount of slowdown as Tiny is jumping between those platforms, but now it's not anywhere to be found, and it's made that one of the hardest boss battles in the whole game.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so it's actually a little bit different from the original intent in that the Wii U is actually playing the game correctly.
and we waited about 12 hours for gamers in Japan or the UK or maybe Australia. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ozzy, Ben, Alistair, where are you?
Well, Ben is busy actually making games rather than playing them.
And Alistair would say, "Donkey, what now?" No. So we waited for news about first Donkey Kong Arcade and then Jetpack. And sure enough, around 3 a.m., we had our answer for both. And yes, they're in the game.
That's right.
Which means all of a sudden our minds were reeling. Like, okay, well, if Jetpack is in the game, then clearly there's dialogue with Microsoft happening.
Well, I think there would have to be some dialogue, but going back to the conversation about being able to change these or reproduce them, if we follow the line of thinking that Rare actually recreated these games, the Arcade DK and Jetpack, from the ground up, that would mean that the development and QA resources, that basically the time and money spent in making them, was part of the DK64 budget. And I think legally, that would mean that Nintendo owns that code and those visual elements outright.
Yeah, I think it would still be a legal gray area, though.
What I'm saying is, I think that the gray area part of it would probably have been hashed out when they even proposed making it. I don't think there's any way that Rare would have done this on the sly. That's a
they did. Oh, I don't know. It sounds like they did a lot of things on the sly.
Right, but this is an intellectual property minefield. There's no way that Nintendo would not have had some line item in the contract that was Donkey Kong 64's budget or whatever, the profit sharing with Rare, all of that would have specifically referenced these elements. And what I'm guessing is, since Nintendo published it, chances are Nintendo could have done whatever the fuck they wanted with DK64, but there might have been, it might have been out of courtesy, to not do it. But
But the Donkey Kong Country game, the trilogy did disappear from the Wii eShop.
That's what. Well,
that did happen.
Right.
It's not a thing. So,
but here's what I'm thinking though. My guess is that Nintendo owned these titles and the code and all of that outright to do whatever they wanted with it. However, Microsoft has a well-documented history of lawyering up at the slightest provocation. So I'm thinking that previous Xbox studio management probably saw this as a potential cash cow. They saw that these old Rare games are on the Virtual Console back in the Wii days, and they said, wait a second, why aren't we making money from this? And they sent out a cease and desist, and they probably had the more expensive lawyers, or Nintendo just didn't have the capital to fight the case, and they got pulled instead of getting into a lengthy legal battle.
Oh man! So what that would have been like 2007, 8,
yes,
2009.
I
can't wait till Better Call Saul gets to that point in the timeline,
right?
Because Jimmy McGill was responsible for that.
Yeah, most likely. I love that show. By the way, they have it was just one more episode in the season, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So you saw Pimento?
I did.
Oh
God!
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No,
I mean,
no.
I saw it too. We won't. I'm telling the viewers we won't spoil it.
Right, but what I will say about Better Call Saul very briefly, and then we'll get on, is that I love that unlike The Lone Gunman, which I still defend up and down, the only comedy in Better Call Saul is derived from the fact that the characters themselves are funny people. It's not
right.
These are not contrived comedic situations, which is the easy trap that they could have fallen into.
Right. I was expecting something Lone Gunman-esque where Saul Goodman befriends an intelligent chimpanzee.
Right. But it's like, since you've got Bob Odenkirk as the title character, and you expect it to be a comedy series, but it is because Bob Odenkirk is funny and because Saul Goodman or Jimmy McGill is funny.
You've got Bob Odenkirk and Michael McKean as his brother.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
But it's a dramatic series with funny characters. So internally, it's hilarious, but it's not winking at the audience. It's consistent with the Breaking Bad world.
Right.
Anyway, I fucking love the tone of the show. It's brilliant.
It's surpassed any fears and expectations and any expectations I had. It's just it's terrific.
Yeah. So anyway, but what I'm thinking is that it got mired in legalities, probably, and this is speculation again, probably because Microsoft management at the time
were a bunch of
dickbags. So what's changed?
Well, what has changed? Well,
because all we're doing, let's just look at the facts. We've noticed
the facts of life.
The facts of life. You take the good and you take the bad. We've just articulated. It seems like in the last year that Rare there have been teases of returning to form. There's been a lot of praise on the part of Microsoft management for Rare's old IPs. There's been an acknowledgement that they have a lot of value and that the fans want to see them. And there's been all of a sudden this republication of old games that were seemingly stuck in legal limbo. All of that's happened in the last year. And what's changed in the last year? Microsoft, or rather the Xbox division of Microsoft, is under new management.
Right. When did Saint Phil Spencer take over?
Well, I actually saw on Phil Spencer's Twitter just a few days ago, he was thanking everyone for all of the kind words about his first year on the job. So
only a year.
It's been about a year with Phil Spencer at the in the number one head job for Xbox.
Because we were making Phil Spencer jokes as far back as E3 2013. Remember?
Yeah, but he was
Phil Spencer, but it kind of looks like Phil Spector.
So so let's make a Phil Spector joke. I wonder if Phil Spencer murdered someone.
God, no wonder the kids don't like us.
All these timely references. But no, at that point,
you don't like girl groups from the early '60s. What the fuck is wrong with you, youth of America?
Jesus, I have a wall of sound that they ought to hear. Phil Spencer was head of a European division at the time.
Okay.
So it made sense that we were.
He was still in the news. He didn't come out of a vacuum. He was working his way up the ladder.
And he had reason to be talking about Rare back in those days as well. Rare being a UK-based company, of course.
Right.
So, but now he's in charge.
because he was a Microsoft guy and we were just little shits. We kind of ragged on him a bit.
Well, I don't know that we were
because-
little shits so much as we just took the easy joke.
Well, yeah.
It was laziness more than maliciousness.
Hey, did you hear about this, Chad?
Yeah. This guy's name kind of sounds like Phil Spector. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this, Kevin?
Yeah. So,
dude, come on! You refuse to go into character-based bits with me. Come on! I set you up for Kevin Eubanks and radio silence.
all right.
See.
Oh man, Jay, man, man, that's not cool. Man.
The moment's
Not cool.
passed. Don't even try. This is why I like having Joe on the show.
Oh shit!
Because he'll do Clara Oswald with me, and I don't mean the voices. Hey lads,
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Yeah, we were shits to Phil. Was Phil the one with the best bowling ever? Was that him?
No. That was the other guy. That was another guy.
Oh, that was Craig Duncan from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. His name is Duncan. Let's put the Dunkin' Donuts guy on the video. God.
Yeah, we are such assholes.
600 views.
Well, at least no one gets to see how big of assholes we are.
True.
But yeah, Phil Spencer has taken over, and correlation is not causation, but there is a high degree of correlation here.
I would agree. And, you connect the dots. What has changed? What is, we've got the control. So what's the variable?
Exactly. To put it in dumb people speak, where there's smoke, there's often fire.
Is that dumb people speak?
That's dumb people speak. Hey, smoke out there, where the fire at?
What?
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, Phil Spencer. So, there's some talk Wednesday evening. Oh, do we have Phil Spencer to thank for this? And, this wouldn't be the last time this week that Phil Spencer came up. So maybe we should table that discussion for near the end of the episode.
Well, that discussion is actually relevant to... Well, no.
Oh, is it?
Well, let's talk about Mario Kart 8 real quick, so then we can get to that.
Because nobody cares about that. Yeah.
So Mario Kart 8 DLC, we knew that was coming.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 DLC. It's announced for later this month, which I guess is earlier than initially announced.
Yeah, they said May, and it's actually going to be at the end of April. So, all right.
Okay, so there's going to be the Animal Crossing stage that has 4 seasons that change. Okay.
That's pretty cool, actually. Honestly, I'm not cynical about this Mario Kart news at all. I think it's all great news because I actually...
I think last year it would be great news.
Oh, come
this year,
on.
No. It's good news. I'm not saying it's bad news. I'm just saying we've got so much else going on right now.
All right, let's look at everything on its own merits. Let's not prioritize our excitement for everything.
But Chad, Project Spark.
Right, of course. I don't give a shit.
Did you not read Phil Spencer's tweets?
We'll get to those tweets, damn it.
All right.
Yeah, I think this is, it's going to be like the last DLC pack from November, where there are 8 stages, 4 of them classic, 4 of them new. One of the new ones is Animal Crossing, which is going to basically be 4 alterations of the same track in one, which is pretty cool.
Now, are these really the real Animal Crossing characters, or are they toys come to life?
Now, that's a very important discussion. I think they should be toys, and therefore Mario Kart 8 would not be covered by the ACU. nor the ACLU,
Right.
who would have something to say about their omission.
So, yeah, there's that. We knew that was coming, but they also announced a new mode.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird video because they had a weird announcer guy doing it. I didn't like the voice.
It felt like they were
personally.
trying to do first there were Donkey and Diddy, then Diddy and Dixie, because it was like, first Mario Kart introduced 50cc, then 100cc.
I mean, just go into the gutter and find John Lovitz. He'll do it. He'll do it for a sandwich.
Yeah, I couldn't get much money on the Universal City Walk, so I'll do your video.
So, yeah.
That's also a reappropriation of my Richard Nixon voice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Richard Nixon after sucking down some helium.
That's right.
All right. Well, so yeah, they said first there was 50 cc, then 100 cc. You know, they went through and I was like, okay, we know this.
And Genjos.
Yeah, I was worried that they were going to announce the return of All Cup mode, which was
Oh no, I didn't even think about that.
Which was just the shit dick.
Wasn't
in,
the first
Double
slush
Dash.
fund Mario Kart Double Dash?
It was, because I never finished Mario Kart Double Dash, partially because of all cup mode, where you have to play all 16 tracks in a row, and like the first track and the last track are always the same. It's like it's always like the circuit and then Rainbow Road, but then the ones in the middle just randomized. But you have to play them all in a row, like one massive like marathon session. And isn't there also, it's not just a placing, there's the stars that apply to that, so you have to get first place on every single one as opposed to just overall. Not first place, but you have to get up there, I think.
Oh, so it's not a triple gold star like they have now?
No.
Okay.
I think that predated. Super Circuit was the first one that had the stars. I think Double Dash didn't utilize them.
Well,
thankfully,
if that mode were on Mario Kart 8, we know that there are triple gold stars, and it took me weeks to get those on 150cc for both regular and mirror mode. I can only imagine trying to do that for all 40 something, 50 something tracks now.
So I was holding my breath, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" but luckily, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Right. It's actually kind of a pretty cool thing. Is that now they've expanded to 200cc at Stinks.
I was like, "Is this still John Lovitz, or are we just doing a weirdo voice?"
Yeah. Well, it was John Lovitz doing his weirdo Banjo Kazooie announcer voice, which he was putting on a little bit of a thing.
Not much.
That's how we knew it was John Lovitz. No, but 200cc, and what we've seen of the video of this, it's fucking blisteringly fast.
It's like F-Zero fast.
Yeah, but the one thing
which sucks for you F-Zero fans. You're never gonna get a new game.
Hey, at least they have one track.
Yeah, you're getting the scraps we got during the buyout era.
Yeah, that's. The one thing that I do like about this announcement that I'm glad they made certain to mention is that it's not just the same game faster. It also requires of you to brake strategically, because the tracks are not designed to be handled this quickly. So this is really going to be the first kart racing game that I can remember where braking is an important part of the gameplay.
Right. I mean, I've used brakes a lot in these games, but that's because I usually suck. And power sliding, sometimes I just veer right off the track. But yeah, this was cool.
I'm really excited. I feel like this is really going to change how Mario Kart is played in a way that adding new tracks, adding new characters really isn't going to do. So I'm excited. This is. I don't know if they announced that this is paid DLC, but I think at least if you got the
I think
previous
this is
ones.
free DLC.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a free update.
Okay, that's fantastic. That they. I love now how Nintendo is handling DLC. At least for this, because there was some Smash DLC that is essentially microtransactions that I'm not too happy with.
Oh, that they also announced during this conference. Well, before we get to that, we should also talk about how Amiibo, the world of Amiibo, is expanding.
Ooh.
And you know what? I'm only buying Amiibo figures of Donkey Kong Universe characters because I cannot be asked to play this game with scalpers and fuck that noise. I'm not doing it. Pre-orders for store exclusives that fill up in minutes. Like, who has the time for this?
No, yeah, exactly. This is maybe the people interested in this are younger gamers who don't remember the Beanie Baby craze, but the market's you're going to break your back collecting these things.
The thing is like there's people who buy these things because they think they'll be valuable, and then there's people who buy these things just because they want to have a collection.
Right, and I feel like the latter is a more admirable.
I feel like the latter is getting screwed by the former.
Exactly, and the sad thing is though, maybe the Beanie Baby comparison wasn't so apt because
Beanie Babies are still around today.
Well, they are still around, but they're nowhere near as falsely valuable. Like the bubble burst on that sub-market. But with video game merchandise, it just seems like it arbitrarily gets more and more expensive. So the people who are like buying and scalping these things are probably going to make a lot of money for an indefinite amount of time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It
unfortunately.
sucks. But yeah, the world of Amiibo has expanded. They're not just these Smash Brothers or Mario Party 10 trophy-style figurines.
To be fair, that line is called Super Mario, so it's a little bit more generic than just Mario Party 10.
Okay, fair enough. But those ones are still essentially modeled after the Smash Brothers ones, where they're on a little circular pedestal.
Yeah, and there's obviously those are like evergreen lines. I mean, Smash Brothers is gonna reach the point where they've released all the characters, but Super Mario is gonna be this huge wide line that's probably gonna go on indefinitely.
Right.
Right. Now the whole kind of concept has been what we perceive of it has been changed.
With their update on Yoshi's Woolly World, which I'm really fucking looking forward to now.
You know what? As much as a cynical cock as I am towards games that aren't Donkey Kong Universe, it looks charming,
Doesn't it? Yeah. And it's got a real-time multiplayer, which is
and I'm weird in that I've never been a huge Yoshi's Island fan. Like, it is what it is.
sour grapes. It's latent sour grapes. No, I'm not saying you feel that way now, but I feel like at that formative age, it was Yoshi versus Diddy, and you went Diddy, and that stuck in your head.
Do you blame me for going
Not at all. but I'm glad to hear that you are perhaps reevaluating that series.
Well, I mean, I've tried to play Yoshi's Island since then. I've just never gotten into the gameplay. The whole thing is just kind of, it's a little slow for my taste.
Okay. You should see some of the speed runs for Yoshi's Island. They're bonkers.
Yeah, those are speed runs. So I mean, I like to savor a game, but I also like quick and nimble gameplay, and having a baby fly off my back crying whenever I get hit. It's just
there's that, but also one of the cool things about Yoshi's Island that it expands upon a little bit more than the Donkey Kong Country series is that the trade-off for the lack of speed, as you put it, is or maybe rhythm is the best way to put it. The trade-off is the exploration. I mean, the Yoshi's Island stages are massive, and they reward you for exploring and collecting, which is, that was the trade-off that the Rare team made when they went from Diddy Kong or Donkey Kong Country to Banjo.
Yeah.
You give it another shot, but yeah, Yoshi's Woolly World looks great.
Well, how? It's not on the eShop.
Yeah, that's true. Oh no, you can download the Game Boy Advance version of it.
You can't see, but I'm also making the masturbation gesture right now.
Yeah. But the amiibos for Yoshi's Woolly World are actually going to be yarn plushies, which are, again, fucking adorable. And they contain a little, the amiibo chip in the bottom of the plushie sewn in, so you can.
I can't wait till people just rip a hole in them to get the chip out, and then they can put their penis in it instead. People are gonna fuck these, right?
Of course, people fuck every plushie that comes out.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're so popular? So that really, blows the doors off of the whole amiibo concept.
It's not all it blows, let's be honest.
That's true. You can put a fleshlight in there.
Hey, baby, I'll do anything. If it's made of yarn, I'll do it. Oh, man, it's all good.
Why would Bill Clinton care about yarn? What is that? What does that even mean?
He's got to hump something.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah. It's like Nuke the Whales. You gotta hump something. It broadened the amiibos a bit. They also mentioned this free thing called Amiibo Tap, which is basically a demo showcase.
And there's some debate. We didn't see Donkey Kong Country listed. Basically, what it is you put an amiibo and a random game will pop up. It's like the Super Smash Brothers masterpieces or whatever, where you can play like a minute or two of the game.
Yeah.
And the whole thing doesn't make much sense to me because, like, you put the Mario amiibo on and you can play a Mario game or you can play 2 minutes of Metroid.
That was the weird thing, and I don't know if that was just a mistake in the video, but yeah, they showed Mario launching both Super Mario Brothers and Super Metroid.
Was
that a mistake?
Why won't just the Samus amiibo do Metroid?
Right.
The other thing I think of is, like, for all the amiibos, they don't have, like, they're not going to put all the games on the service, and we didn't see Donkey Kong Country. So
well, but now that those are on the VC, I'm imagining that we will be seeing that.
maybe eventually, but that gets into the debate, and I don't think this episode is the right time for it because that could go for 40 minutes or longer. Is Amiibo Tap DKU?
My answer is no.
My answer is probably.
Oh God, no. Really?
Well, that's a debate for another time.
Jesus.
It's an interesting debate to be had, and I don't think I don't want to shortchange it in this episode.
Okay. I feel like we already had the debate on the Virtual Console titles.
Yes, but this is fundamentally altering the nature of the game. Okay.
Hyle, is the Donkey Kong Country Competition Edition cartridge DKU?
No, but that wasn't commercial. Okay. All right. So anyway,
it was through the Nintendo Power catalog.
Yeah. No,
yeah, it was.
Not okay. Commercially, was it for sale? Okay, you know what? we'll table this.
Checkmate, bitch.
Whatever. Checkmate. What? Are we playing Amiibo chess? Actually, Amiibo chess would actually be a good game.
That would actually. I would play that.
Why don't? Okay. Anyway, sorry. And there's also going to be different. There's going to be a small set of 3 figures for Splatoon, which and. It's interesting because they're not going to be having a wide Splatoon line. It's going to be 3 figures and done. Which, if they're going to be releasing, it's pretty much they're going to be releasing amiibos for every game they make now. So sooner or later, we're going to get a Donkey Kong series.
Right.
I feel pretty. We were joking the other month that we're never going to see a Donkey Kong series. Now that amiibo's so successful and they're willing to experiment with the concepts, we're going to see Donkey Kong figures eventually.
Right.
And also there's going to be amiibo cards, as Miyamoto hinted at, for Animal Crossing. So instead of making figures, they're just going to be cards that have amiibo data on them. Which
they teased as much when they announced amiibo. That there was a possibility.
I'm not wild about this. I feel like this kind of starts to break the concept a bit.
Right, but thankfully, the use of those cards can be only limited to a single title. So, it doesn't water down the whole concept for, say, Super Smash Brothers, because they just don't need to support those Animal Crossing cards.
Although Miyamoto did mention, like, for hard-to-find figures, they might just release cards eventually so people can still get the data, which, for me, breaks the concept. Just make more figures if they're in demand, you fucks.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing that still makes the collectors weep. It's about displaying them on your shelf. That's the whole point of physical things. It's
right.
You might as well just release this as DLC. Why bother with the card?
Right. It's why people, it's why I still collect, CDs and albums, and I don't just burn things, get things on iTunes. It's because I like to have a physical music collection. It's a hobby of mine. I'm not going to just abandon that, Even though I stream most things nowadays, I still, things I really love, I want to have something on my shelf to show my love,
Exactly. And it's something to hawk when you're in your 50s and living on the street.
Exactly, with John Lovitz in the gutter.
You'll be on the Universal City Walk with him, and you'll have started sounding exactly like him. You say, "Hey, John."
I'll turn to him and I'll be like, "John, I don't think that was the ticket after all."
What are you talking about? You're saying someone didn't want your Japanese Sergeant Pepper?
Oh, I'm sure I could sell that anytime I want. That's anyway. All right. So that's a little news. Let's get to the news that turned the internet on its head.
Yeah, and it always does. Super Smash Brothers.
Fucking Super Smash Brothers. First of all, let's take this call. And because this is actually relevant to the news we're about to discuss.
Hello, this is Gavin41 from the forum. I have one question. With the recent news of DK64 coming out, which I'm really excited for the Wii U, and the new Smash DLCs announced, like Mewtwo and Lucas, and the new Smash ballot, with that coming out, do you think that they will put K-Roll in, or if they don't do that, what do you think they should put in from the DK series? I think personally they should put in Lanky Kong because he's like the funniest, and he's like the best character in the whole series. But yeah, this is Gavin41 from the forum, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, thank you, Gavin41. And that is actually spelled Gavyn 41. We looked it up.
That's right. We didn't recognize your name, Gavin, but we saw that you have registered and posted on the Welcome New Members forum, the holding
Welcome
cell.
new folk, yeah.
Yeah, welcome new folk. So
read this or feel Balky's wrath.
That's right. So
Oh no, that was the old tagline for the rules.
Right. So anyway, Gavin, welcome to the forum. Please feel free to post. We won't chase you off, but it was thank you for also announcing basically what the news was for our listeners. Not only is Mewtwo DLC coming out, but Lucas.
Yeah, which okay, so they announced Lucas and they said, "We listened to fan requests," and we put Lucas. I was like, "What fan request? Lucas?" And actually, if I had I think your memory is starting to rub off on me, Chad, because there was this survey conducted, it was a big, massive pie chart from the other month that showed what characters Japanese gamers wanted for DLC. And at the top of the list, they wanted Lucas back.
Huh.
Which, they got Mother 3 over there. We didn't get Mother 3 here. So this is just another example of
God.
Nintendo prioritizing Japanese gamers' wants over Western gamers. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it.
Well, it's funny you should say you're sick of it because they may be interested in your wants after all. They also announced...
What?
Yeah, they announced that they're having a global poll that I believe...
Hey, baby, I brought my pole global, too. I banged so many people at the G8. Oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. I was just gonna let you run out of steam on that one. It's like letting a toddler go to the playground. Just keep doing your Bill Clinton voice, then we can get on with the show.
All right.
But yeah, this apparently or presumably it's going to be one vote per IP. So use yours wisely.
I don't know because people have been saying they've been voting quite a bit, which I think
No.
throwing their votes
There's
away.
nothing that's blocking it. But what I'm thinking is that either they're going to they're definitely logging IPs. They're probably either going to take the latest one for that IP or the first one. But I doubt there's any way they're going to let people flood the vote.
Yeah.
But anyway, they want to know who you want in Smash, and I don't think they committed themselves to anything.
No, because Sakurai gets what Sakurai wants, but I think this is just a way to see, well, maybe we don't know everything. Maybe we need to put the ground to the ear. Yes, I said that. Maybe
Dude, that's how it works. Equal and opposite reactions. From a physics standpoint, you put the ground to your ear.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm actually very intelligent, and I don't botch what I say. Okay, so put the ground to the ear, and you see what gamers want, and so obviously this is what I was afraid of back during the dark days of Smash 4 discussion. The never-ending Smash Brothers character campaign, where the drama never ends. Like, at least in the past, when Smash Brothers released, that's it. You're done. You're done for that generation. The characters that get in. If your character didn't get in, lick your wounds and move on with your life.
Right, but now I feel that I have been through this cycle of hype, disappointment, rumor, vitriol twice now, with Brawl and with 4. I feel like I'm aware enough of the pitfalls to not get emotional about it,
or the dark pitfalls.
That's right, the dark pitfalls. I know there are people who are much more entrenched in all of this. What you call drama, the Smash boards, the Kremlin campaigners. Like, there are people who live and breathe the Smash playable fighter campaigns, and it's something that I could just kind of adopt a bemused detachment from all of it and let it go on, and whatever happens, and I don't really care. I would love to see, perhaps, well, maybe we should take another call before we get too much further into this.
Right.
But it's relevant to Gavin's initial question.
Rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat. All right, rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. Ever since our voyage of love began. The
has thrilled me like the rush of the wind, and your arms have held me safe from a rolling sea. Don't let me drift away, my dear, when love has seen me through. Our love is like a ship on the ocean. We've been sailing with a cargo full of love and devotion. So I'd like to know where you got the notion. Said I'd like to know where you got the notion. Ride the boat, don't crock the boat, baby. Crock.
Just a wild theory. Was that Master DS?
I'm gonna guess it was the master of the Nintendo DS.
If it wasn't, we apologize.
That's right. But we really appreciate the doubling down on what I think was Jeff Onan's hashtag that is now spread.
Yeah, Jeff Onan was the one who came up with Crock the Vote. He pitched it to us, and you ran with it on Twitter.
I put a K on it. He had Croc with a C. And it has gone stratospheric.
I took it to Facebook, and nobody cares about hashtags on Facebook, but I plug away anyway.
But yeah, the Kremlin campaign to get K. Rool as a fighter in Super Smash Bros. DLC at some point. I think the polls close in October, so it'll be a while. This is probably a 2016 prospect, if anything. But he is one of the front runners now, alongside Shrek and Goku.
Well, as far as realistic front runners go,
right.
Ridley's going to be out.
Because he's a stage boss, right?
Right. The Ice Climbers are going to be out. They don't work
on the 3DS. Yeah.
Yeah. Things like Snake is going to be out because Nintendo Konami aren't BFFs right now.
Yes.
So yeah, K. Rool, his odds are actually pretty good, and there's a ton of support for the guy. I mean, even Japanese gamers. They want a lot of the older characters who are cut back, but as far as characters who are new, he's at the top of the list.
Well, and the two pieces of DLC that we're already seeing are characters that were cut. This would be the first new fighter.
Which I think is really what this poll is for.
Yeah.
And look, let me clarify right now. I'm still majorly disappointed with Smash 4. Like, I don't really care about the game. What I do care about, and what is still important to me, and now that it's back on the table, this is very important, is showing Nintendo and or Sakurai, but mostly Nintendo itself, that not only do Donkey Kong characters have fans, but K. Rool in particular has a huge fan base.
Right.
And that he's not something to just be tossed aside.
He's not fresh enough.
He's fresh enough that everybody wants him in Smash Brothers.
Right.
And that's what I care about. So when we're talking about this and getting excited about this news, it's not us going back on our word and saying even if K. Rool was in Smash Brothers, we would still be disappointed with the game. That's still going to be the case no matter what. I'm excited for K. Rool himself. I'm excited for the character.
Yeah.
I think it's cool Nintendo's doing this at all. This is not really Nintendo's MO usually, listening to the fans.
Yeah. To paraphrase Dennis Reynolds, it's more the implication that we care about.
It's just like being raped on a boat out at sea. Exactly right. So yeah, it's exciting, and so that's why we've kind of thrown our hat in. We're helping out the Kremlin campaigners. Hi, Thomas Freestad. We want this done, and it would be big for the Donkey Kong franchise. Who I don't give a shit about Smash Brothers, but I live and breathe Donkey Kong, and K. Rool is my home dog.
And I would say, some people are questioning, as DKU loyalists, do we vote for K. Rool or do we vote for Dixie? Dixie's already back. She's in Tropical Freeze. If you want to see her in Smash Brothers and you care enough about that game and that character to want to see her over K. Rool, go for it.
Yeah,
it's your vote.
We're not going to stop. We're not going to try to talk you out of that.
Right.
But the K. Rool matters. The vote for K. Rool matters more as far as the future. And
right.
Dixie, we're not worried about. Dixie will be in Smash Brothers one day, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. And she in all likelihood will be at least an NPC in the next Donkey Kong Country title whenever that should come out.
Right. Donkey Kong 64 2-ish. She's probably not going to make cut for Tiny Kong again.
Right. But then, so all of this, amazing, crock the vote, baby. But Mr. Phil Spencer decided
Saint Phil, as I've called him.
He decided to descend from Mount Twitter and drop a bombshell yesterday.
Well, I guess it's a bombshell. Yeah, it's huge news. It's not really news. It's more just, again, baiting the fans. But goddamn,
it's information that we didn't have previously, which I think, again, the implication is very widespread. So Phil's tweet, someone asked him, like, hey, should we vote for Banjo for Smash Brothers? And he replied on his official Twitter account, I think it would be cool if Banjo was in the next Super Smash Brothers DLC. We've worked with Nintendo on Rare IP before. No issues.
I hate Twitter so much, by the way. Like, just how short everything has to be. Like, I want more details. What?
Right. But hey, I mean, to me that says no issues. And I'm assuming he's talking about the handheld teams.
You would assume, or you could assume that he's talking about everything getting back on the Virtual Console, including Donkey Kong 64 for the first time.
That's something that honestly I didn't even register. But earlier we were making implications to the notion that
we just really want to put our dick in Phil Spencer right now. Phil
is the savior.
If I may, I would like to fill his Spencer.
Oh, Jesus. What's a Spencer? That's not even a joke. It's just jabber.
It's his ass. It's his ass. It's his firm, supple buttocks.
Well, that explains why you used to work at Spencer's Gifts.
Yeah, right out of high school. That was like a job.
That's where all the Elvis and Slick Money props came from.
No, not true. I went to actually a local costume shop for that.
Okay, well, anyway, yeah, basically what Phil Spencer is saying is that they would have no objections, presumably after some legal profit sharing or whatever paperwork was signed, but there's not a roadblock to Banjo and Kazooie being in Super Smash Brothers. Holy shit.
Which, of course, is all up to Sakurai, and
sure.
I'm sure Sakurai doesn't give two shits about Banjo-Kazooie, but
what this means though is that
this isn't even really about Smash Brothers to me. Like, everybody's getting excited. Oh, Banjo-Kazooie Smash Brothers. Let's come up with movesets. That's great. Get excited about it. Again, it doesn't really matter for me. It's the implications beyond Smash Brothers that have my nipples perch right now.
Yeah, to me, this is a display of maturity at the executive level
in a very immature industry.
Right, exactly. In the games industry, this is maturity. This is someone realizing
Kevin Callahan got out of the games industry because of the level of immaturity. He just wanted to be with his wife and kids in Minnesota.
That's right. Kevin Callahan might have jumped the gun.
Okay. Phil Spencer wants to see Banjo and presumably Kazooie.
Or he thinks it would be cool.
He would be cool. No issues, he says.
No issues working with Nintendo on Rare IP.
Well then,
yeah.
Let's connect some dots.
Okay.
What then would that mean for, I don't know, Diddy Kong Racing on the Virtual Console?
I think it might mean we could potentially see the results of some conversations happening soon. It might, you never know.
Now, going back to the old Kevin Callahan rumor mill, his rumor mill in Minnesota, on his blog that was only updated once, he said that Rare...
Still totally real. It's definitely real.
I believe in Kevin Callahan, all right? Hashtag I believe in Kevin Callahan. So he said that, Rare and Microsoft were having a lot of discussions that fell through, but then they went back to the table, and... presumably about the rumor at the time, and this was a legitimate rumor going around, Nintendo wanted to buy back Banjo-Kazooie, and Microsoft wasn't having any of that. But then the actual rumor was that Nintendo wanted to buy the Diddy Kong Racing characters that weren't Banjo and Kazooie. Okay, whatever. That I'm just bringing that up for a little coloring, but
sure.
I think Diddy Kong Racing on the Wii U is a real possibility. The only thing that would, as far as the Virtual Console goes, I'm not talking about a new version.
Sure, yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
But the only thing that I think would hold it up with Nintendo being hesitant to put Conker in it still.
Oh, I don't know.
You started to do a conquer voice there. I heard it. You said, "Ah," and that was your conquer voice.
I'm not quite so. No, but if I were doing it appropriately, it'd be like, I don't know.
Oh, right.
Maybe they'll see me on that game. I'm Conker.
I can do. Yeah. So I can do that one. Yeah, I think, as of last week, I would have said no chance in hell. But this week, oh yeah, I foresee it happening. Like nothing is impossible now. The world is our Clambo.
That's right. and just like Clambo, we're going to be blasted in the face with hard round objects on a regular basis.
We're going to be getting a pearl necklace all over our chest.
That's right.
So I think it's possible. I part of me is wondering, and this is just pure speculation, but part of me is wondering, okay, so Nintendo's getting the Donkey Kong games made by Rare on the Virtual Console. They could be getting Diddy Kong Racing. They could be getting Diddy Kong Racing characters for their new Diddy Kong Racing game. Fingers crossed. I believe in Kevin Callahan. What would Microsoft be getting?
Money, possibly, and
money, possibly,
and a heightened profile,
and
for
a heightened
Banjo and
profile.
Kazooie.
Phil Spencer seems like a cool guy. If Nintendo fans are playing Rare game, I don't think he views Nintendo's competition, which rightfully they are. They're and also ran, but they're the console gamers also buy in addition to an Xbox or a PlayStation.
And I think that's the other part of this is that the fact that Phil Spencer, aside from by all accounts seeming like a pretty cool dude that wants to collaborate with these companies, he's also a businessman. And this would not be a frivolous statement if there was any possibility that it would harm Microsoft. To him, it's probably mutually beneficial because they don't see Nintendo as competition. I think really, at this point, after this many generations of Microsoft being in the picture, really there are two pillars of gaming. There's the Microsoft Sony crowd and there's the Nintendo crowd, and they probably, people these days more or less get two systems if they want to experience the whole array of gaming.
Right. Sony is their competition.
Right.
Nintendo can be like their kid brother.
Yeah, and which is, it's strange, but yeah, there was a lot of competition, especially even in the fan circles after Rare sort of, jumped ship over to Microsoft, but now it's not quite so valid anymore. It's,
right.
We've had, the purchasing habits of game players, of the consumers, have sort of settled over the last decade.
Exactly. Much to Iwata's chagrin, I imagine, but
right.
I think we're going to start reaping the benefits of this. And you know what? I do think that we're going to see GoldenEye 007 crop up on Xbox Live Arcade at some point. I think.
Well, that also, aren't there issues with Activision and MGM?
There might be, but I think Nintendo was holding that up before. Microsoft wanted that, and Nintendo owns some part of it because it was a Nintendo published game.
Right.
So
right.
but I do think there's going to be it's like a hostage trade. Okay, you guys can have all your Donkey Kong properties in one piece. Give us Pierce Brosnan, and quite honestly, I think that would be fair. This is exciting. Not for Smash Brothers. It is exciting for Smash Brothers fans. But it's exciting for fans of the Donkey Kong universe because for the first time since 2002, nothing is really off the table anymore.
We get to me, the big takeaway is that we are no longer bound by cynicism.
We're no longer bound by cynicism. We're no longer bound by who owns what. We're no longer bound by corporate dickery.
Right.
What's happening now is with Phil Spencer, with Playtonic, we got Retro. They're apparently working on something new. Probably not Donkey Kong, but we won't fault them for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that was another piece of news that we didn't even have a chance to touch on, is that Retro's new game is apparently on a quote-unquote new engine.
Right. Could be Donkey Kong 64 2-ish, but no, if it's not Donkey Kong, we're not going to be whiny little should have been Donkey Kong fans.
It's if it's for the Wii U, which it probably is, then it's probably not Tropical Freeze since they already have an engine for it. But c'est la vie.
It's not a sequel to Tropical Freeze, you mean?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they've already released Tropical Freeze.
Oh yes, thank you for the reminder. Right.
We're happy with that. So yeah, but anyway, my point is like with all these forces, you got Retro, who revived Donkey Kong Country, but they're still acknowledging Rare, playing Banjo-Kazooie. We got Playtonic playing Tropical Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
We got and wanting to put Banjo-Kazooie in their game. We got Phil Spencer saying he wants Banjo, or he would like to see, he thinks it would be cool to see Banjo and Smash Brothers, and he's willing to work with Nintendo. For the first time, the Donkey Kong universe is no longer bifurcated.
Shit, we've even got. This just occurred to me. Gavin Price at Playtonic said he wanted to have Amiibo support in Yooka-Laylee, and now we've had the world of Amiibo broadened to the point where it wouldn't have to be a little plastic figurine. They could do something unique for that title. And still have Amiibo.
It could be an actual ukulele with the chip in it.
It's only a $350 Amiibo.
No, you can buy ukuleles for $20.
Oh, okay.
That's how I bought my ukulele. It's a piece of shit. So anyway, and that's a truce.
That's a ringing endorsement for a ukulele purchase.
I do own a ukulele, and it's a piece of shit, and I never learned how to play it because I'm not Tiny Tim. Anyway, my point.
Nor Sir Paul McCartney.
Well, George Harrison was really the ukulele aficionado between the Beatles, but
yeah, of course, that's why I spent all that time from India learning from ukulele virtuoso Ravi Shankar.
Right. He thought he was in Hawaii. It was very much like Columbus type situation. He was trying to reach India too. Anyway, so
what?
Anyway, my point being, the Donkey Kong universe, there's possibilities again. There's possibilities that Banjo will be interacting with the Kongs again.
That's right.
Like, nothing, like, for the first time, we're like, oh, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Well, we're never going to see that again. Conker's dead. Suddenly, this really is, forgive me, Chad, this really is the Rare Renaissance.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.